people were more accommodating. People were willing to accept people with completely radical views, hobbies, everything. It was like a different time, like the, you know, and it just felt, unique. It's like face to face, talking to people. It's not like the online gaming now where, yes, you meet your friend and then you spend most of the time, like at night, like you don't go out and you're just talking over a headset. It's not the same. Or B, you're both streaming the same, say, Netflix anime series. It's not the same. It's like you can't hold the media.
Yeah.
Which being a collector as well, yes, I do have a Robotech art book, which I brought from Winnipeg, but that was quickly replaced by a far more other Japanese animation things that came up. So, just rewind just slightly bit. I forgot about 93 is when I found about Gotham Comics. Sorry, I forgot about that. Gotham Comics on Edmonds and Kingsway.
Right.
And they started up with a new series, like ADV was there, Animego was there, right? And the first thing that caught my attention is, yeah, they had Akira. Yeah, that's nice. Seen it already. And it was dubbed. But later on, I've actually had the privilege to actually watch the original Japanese. And comparing the two, I would actually say, and I'm just going to say this quite bluntly, I prefer original language with subtitles.
Yeah.
I don't like this redubbing of the exact same material. I like it raw. Right. Or B, no subtitles.
Yeah.
Even though I suffer and try to understand it, but I prefer it in its original form.
Right.
Yeah, I found that at Gotham Comics, Gotham Comics and Collectibles, is a majority of their stuff was dubbed. And I would go like, oh, all right, okay, this looks good. And I forgot to read the back of the box. You have this box that you pull off the shelf, right? And go like, okay, I'll rent that. You get home, you pop it in, it starts up, you hear the Japanese songs, like great, and all of a sudden you hear, I'm going to kill you. You will die. Oh, don't hurt me. Oh, yeah. Oh, it hurts. Yeah, stop, you're hurting me. And what's the first thing you do? You rush up like a madman. You hit that eject button because you couldn't take it. So I went back, and Calvin was really nice and go like, do you have the subtitled version of this? And he goes like, I was wondering when you'd come back. Because it's a 50-50 split. And everybody at the time in 93 hated the dub because it was anybody doing it.
Yeah.
There was no real voice acting as today, right? Where it's, it's quality. Most of the voice actors also do games, right? So
yeah. Or they're actors themselves or whatever, right? Not
exactly. But this one is like Joe Schmo off the street, or B, it's the person who actually got the license.
Yeah, it's just like,
and they can't hire a girl, so what do? They just fudge it. Oh, yeah, great, hi, nice to see you. and you could tell instantly, and you go like, why am I watching this garbage?
It's true, though. There are times where they just grab people out of the blue. They are, they are actors themselves. They're not. Obviously, they didn't have voice acting schools. That's what they're saying, right? So let's just pull, the secretary off. But we just need you to read a bunch of lines. Just.
Okay. Just read it anyway. Yeah, read it anyway. As long as it's in there. Okay.
But yeah, it's a real hit and miss, that for sure.
So moving a bit more forward, sorry, I forgot about that piece.
Yeah.
So walked into the store, and the first thing that hit me was there was this guy slumped over on the seat, asleep. Like literally, he was asleep. Long and behold, it's the person sitting right across from me who actually owned the store, Mr. William Chow, right? So I go like, is this a legit store or what the heck is going on? I see Japanese CDs, right? I pick them up and go like, well, they're definitely not photocopied, they're original because I can't see any dithering or any,
Yeah.
poorly scanned things in. So it's okay, this is a legitimately pressed one, right? So he was still asleep, and I'm looking around the store. There's VHS. And holy mackerel, he has LDs. I pick up the LD. Look at the back of it. LD Laserdisc. Next thing after Laserdisc was DVD. After DVD was Blu-ray. So before 4K
Yeah.
Blu-ray, it's Blu-ray as
Yeah,
it first started off.
Early, we're still talking early 1990s, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, I noticed that, there was this one young guy in there who was playing this RPG, Kevin. And, school is almost out for the elementary, high school kids. I've already graduated. And at 3:30, it's all of a sudden, this store just came alive. All these characters and everybody, I'm guessing they were regulars, and it seemed like an okay environment. And go like, wow, this is great. And there's a couple, and then finally Will would wake up. It's like, oh, hi there, and he go like, is this your? I see it's your first time. It's like, he woke, and he goes like, that guy up at the first. Yeah, don't worry about him, right? He's like, that's the owner, right? He's a cool guy. Don't worry about it. Right, so I started watching Kevin playing games. He goes like this. This is like, I'm slightly older than Kevin, about, I would say about 8 years. And, he just went on. And, and then there's Evelyn, right? So we started talking, and the next thing you know, Alan comes in, and then, Ed Dawn. Ooh, Ed, yeah, when he loses, he, doesn't know how to control his rage, but they go like, yeah, he does that. He slams his hand on the table, and the first thing I noticed is all three of these booths are the exact same booths from Radio Shack, including the monitors or our Commodore 64 monitors. And I go like, that kind of looks like a Radio Shack sound. And little did I know that all the game systems are underneath. Like the SNES, I didn't know about a Game Doctor, but when Kevin changed the game, like, you're using floppy disks on that. Oh yeah, it's like it's normal. Like, okay. Is what it is, but and then Leslie was says, yeah, you should come on Friday. More of the regular guys come, and if you stay later, it's and this is before we created our annual, or basically our 2-day dinners, and that was way before that, right? This is like the first starting off. So I stuck around, met some regulars in that. Richard and Sheldon would always be together. I learned their names, talked to them. It's everybody had different viewpoints. Everybody was at a different stage of life, but the nice thing about it, and I would say the anime community these days, it's like kind of frowned upon, like different age groups talking to each other was unheard of. It's like, why are you talking to me? You're like 20, 30 years older than me. Like, excuse me, right? And it's like they're all nested, but there are in the anime community these days, there are some individuals who are those rare types that will talk to these older people or will talk to the younger people, right? And that's one thing that I noticed with this current anime generation is there's that lack of solidarity for community, regardless of age, gender, what hobbies you like, what anime you like. Like, you could like, magical girl shows. You could like only comedy ones, like say Ranma or say Yatsura, or you can like say, super violent ones like Bubblegum Crisis, AD Police, right? And still be in the same room and be talking, or in conversing and that.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I've noticed that has gone to the wayside in this present day and age is that's gone.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think everyone starts forming in like little groups or little cliques. They stay in that little sort of grouping, and even then they don't even want to really interact with people because there's everyone wants to be themselves. Themselves maybe.
I would have to say I'm an exception to that because I grew up in an extremely large family, being the youngest of 13 children.
I think most people, in the past, interacted much better socially in the larger group.
Mm-hmm.
I think people recognize that there's two sort of groups. Well, at least better that the people that you have to interact with on a daily basis are all the people that are directly around you, right? I think this era of social media and everything artificially inflates, the area that you have sort of a contact with, but you may have contact with them or you may be able to communicate with them, but you don't actually interact with them because of distance.
Exactly. It's not the same as
Yeah.
for like you meet a friend, like for our generation it's like when you meet a friend, say you don't see him for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Yes, they've changed. Like there's a couple of our group that I haven't seen for 20 years and they finally appear out of nowhere. They've aged, they've changed slightly. Their personality has just been adjusted, but what's really weird, not like this generation, is it's like you just load the save game and all of a sudden you're back at the same thing, and the barrier that our generation has is it just evaporates. It's like boom.
Yes.
We're connected again. We don't we keep our personal lives, separate with our little nuances, unless you want to volunteer it. But what I find with social media is, you get one person slandering you, or say you start a rumor, it becomes the truth.
Yeah.
And that party can't defend themselves because all of a sudden it's like a tsunami that just hits, and you're standing right in front of it. And how do you deal with that? You can't. It's global.
Yeah.
And it's just the technology.
Yeah. The technology. Yeah.
Being a nerd, like I'm in the IT industry, so being, my trade, I'm a computer technician, but, you have to, how should we say, have a job in order to pay for your anime addiction.
So I hope you found that really interesting, and I always find it really interesting, to go and talk to some of the old people because they always bring up stories that I sort of sometimes forget, or I don't quite have the exact wording sometimes, because I don't want to say something in regards to in about someone's story, when they can say it properly themselves, because I might get some details wrong or whatever. So it's always better that you get the information straight from them. As well as it's they always have some different perspective that maybe I just kind of forgot about, because so much time has passed. Sometimes I tend to forget them. So it's always good to to have a good conversation about that. Again,